Hello everyone. Today I'll talk on Macbeth and more especially the key scenes in Macbeth in their respective order. Macbeth, fully titled as The Tragedy of Macbeth, is the shortest tragedy written by William Shakespeare in 1603 and was first published in 1623. It has its source from Holinshed Chronicles, which account for the history of England, Ireland and Scotland. The play basically revolves around the protagonist Macbeth, whose political ambition becomes his both rise as well as his downfall. After hearing the prophecy of the witches, Macbeth goes on to kill the King of Scotland and become king himself. But as the play unfolds, the tables turn and later towards the end of the play, Macbeth is killed by his own rival forces. So, the play is divided into 5 acts, and in each act we find certain important key scenes which, if put together, will lead to the rise as well as downfall of the protagonist Macbeth. In Act 1, we have Scene 3 where Macbeth and his close friend Banquo meet the 3 witches, where they make 3 prophecies. 1. Macbeth will be Thane of Cawdor. Number 2. Macbeth will be future King of Scotland. And number 3. Banquo's children will be the King of Scotland. Then we have Act 1, Scene 5, where we come to know about the political ambition of Lady Macbeth, which is much more aggressive than Macbeth. She feels that Macbeth is too kind-hearted, and so she herself decides to plot murder against King Duncan, who is supposed to dine in their castle Inverness that same night. In Act 2, Scene 2, King Duncan is murdered by Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. After Macbeth kills Duncan, he comes back with the dagger which he is supposed to implant with the guards, so that guards of King Duncan is blamed for the murder. But when Lady Macbeth sees the anxiety within Macbeth, she herself goes back to King Duncan's chamber and implants the weapons with the guards. Later, in the next scene, that is Act 2, Scene 3, we find Duncan's body is found by the people, and then Macbeth kills the guard with the pretext that he has done it out of fury. And then Duncan's sons Malcolm and Donalbain escape from the castle. Then in Act 3, Scene 4, we see that Macbeth has hired murderers to kill Banquo because he is fearful of the 3rd prophecy made by the witches. That is, Banquo's son will be the future king. So, he hired the murderers to kill Banquo and his son Fleance. But in the ambush, Banquo is killed, but Fleance escapes. Later, in the same scene, we find that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth has held a banquet to honor the coronation of Macbeth. But as the feast progresses, Macbeth sees the ghost of Banquo, which makes continual appearance throughout the feast. And later, when Banquo's ghost becomes more visible to Macbeth, Macbeth begins to lose his sanity, which ultimately leads Lady Macbeth to dismiss the feast. Then in Act 4, Scene 1, we find that Macbeth visits the witches again. And then witches make another 3 prophecies. Number 1, Macbeth should be afraid of Macduff. Number 2, no one kill Macbeth born of a woman. And number 3, Macbeth cannot be defeated until Birnam Woods come to Dunsinane. Then in Act 5, we have Scene 1, which is one of the most important scene in entire play, the sleepwalking scene of Lady Macbeth. Here we come to know that how Lady Macbeth has gradually descended towards madness. She is seen continuously washing her hands and talking and walking in her sleep, making us, the audience, to believe that her infected mind is continuously ridden by guilt and conscience after killing Duncan. Then in Act 5, Scene 5, we have Macbeth's famous soliloquy, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And in the same scene, we can see that news is received by Macbeth that Birnam Woods is actually moving towards Dunsinane, thereby fulfilling the second prophecy of the witches. In reality, it is Macduff and Malcolm's army who has broken down the branches to camouflage themselves in order to move towards Dunsinane. Then, in the last scene 8 of Act 5, we find that Macbeth is confronted by Macduff. Macbeth is again so sure of witch's prophecy that no one can kill Macbeth born of a woman that he is almost fearless. But later we come to know that Macbeth is not born naturally. He was untimely ripped from his mother's womb. That is, in today's context, he had a caesarean birth. So, it is Macduff who ultimately kills Macbeth and restores the crown with son of King Duncan. So, these are basically the key scenes in the play Macbeth. And in my next lecture, I will critically analyze the play Macbeth. Till then, take care and stay safe.